And we are following breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. The Phillies Blue Jays weekend series has now been postponed. The Blue Jays manager, Charlie Montoyo, says this is because of course, the coronavirus outbreak. The Phillies had taken on the Marlins last weekend. When all the Marlins players started testing positive for coronavirus, the Phillies have not played since then. Now, since that time, the Phillies say no players have tested positive in the latest round of testing yesterday. However, one member of the coaching staff and one member of the Phillies home clubhouse staff did test positive, and that is why we are now seeing the postponement of the game against the Blue Jays coming up this weekend. All right, let's bring in our good friend David Sampson to talk about this. David, feel like we're talking to you every couple hours because this is just going on and on. We now have 6 teams that have been affected because of the Marlins coronavirus outbreak. Just give us your latest reaction to the postponement this weekend of the Blue Jays-Phillies game.
So the biggest question is, did the Marlins transmit coronavirus to any of the teams they've played so far this year, which would be the Atlanta Braves for 2 exhibition games and then the Phillies for 3 regular season games to start the season? Once the Marlins outbreak happened, the Phillies started to test their players every day, and it kept coming up 0, 0, 0. And that was good news, except for the fact that the days we've been waiting for are Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are the test results that matter. Because when COVID is transmitted, there is a time when you would test negative even though you have it, and it's bubbling to the surface, and then you become a positive test. Therefore, what MLB did at first with all the 0 tests, positive tests for Philly, they said, let's hold off on Friday's game against the Blue Jays, even though we said it was going to happen, and let's do a doubleheader on Saturday. That gives an extra day to keep getting all of these zeros back. Well, today it happened. A home clubhouse attendant and a coach on the bench for the Phillies tested positive with the results on Thursday, which is today, which is the first of the 3 big days to be concerned about. So Major League Baseball did not waste a moment when they realized we cannot have the Phillies playing the Blue Jays, because if the virus is being transmitted from team to team, we have to cut off the Phillies and the Marlins right now, which means the entire weekend game against the Blue Jays, all of them will have to be postponed at a minimum. The question is, did it infiltrate the Phillies the way it has infiltrated the Marlins? And that's a wait to see, Amanda, as we head into the next couple days.
All right, so the Phillies are essentially on hold. The Marlins are still on hold. As I mentioned, we have now had 6 teams in Major League Baseball in just the 1 week since we've been back affected by this. Games getting postponed, games getting rescheduled already. So, David, as opposed to just, looking at the Phillies and their schedule and everything like that, I mean, this is just kind of a mess now. I mean, this is a huge headache for Major League Baseball. How do they attack this?
So you attack it like a slide puzzle. Pretend you're on Survivor doing a challenge. You've got teams that were supposed to play, and Major League Baseball did it with the Yankees this week, where the Yankees are playing the Orioles when they were supposed to be playing the Phillies. And the Orioles are playing the Yankees when they were supposed to be playing the Marlins. And the Nationals, one team is going to be left out. And whenever there's one team paused, that's an odd number of teams in baseball. So what Major League Baseball is doing with that slide puzzle is they'll move the schedule around however they have to do it, including the fact dealing with teams playing teams they weren't expecting to play when they weren't expecting to play them. When there are no fans in the ballpark and no tickets to a home game, this is actually easier now, because when there are tickets involved, then you have to deal with the fans and telling them that their schedules changed, dealing with refunds, dealing with all of the logistics involved in that. But without ticket sales, you can actually go ahead and switch opponents. And these teams were told when this season started, be ready. Because you may think you're flying to Atlanta, you're actually flying to Baltimore. You may think you're flying to Miami, you're taking the bus to Philadelphia. You just have to be ready to do anything, and that's what MLB is working through right now as they cross their fingers, hoping that there's not another outbreak.
Let's say there is another outbreak, David, on another team, or we start seeing the Phillies start testing positive. Is there any chance that they just pause the season, wait 2 weeks or something like that? Of course, I mean, a 60-game schedule, and this is already such a short season here. Would we ever come back from that? What are the options if something else happens, if there is another outbreak?
Well, the hope is that by enhancing the protocols, which Major League Baseball did today, by having a compliance officer now traveling with every team, by hoping that players don't leave their rooms on the road, by making sure that masks are being worn, and hopefully taking care of dugout behavior, which has been less than exemplary. The hope is that you can just have 1 or 2 positive tests on a team without an outbreak. It's the outbreak that's the problem. And if the outbreak then goes to another team, that becomes a problem because of the competitive integrity for that team. That's why the Marlins aren't playing right now, because they don't have enough players from their Jupiter satellite farm area where every team has 2 areas. The Major League team, which is 30 players plus 3 taxi players. And then they've got 27 players at another location. All of the Marlins' 27 players in Jupiter, Florida have tested negative every single day. You could bring up that whole team and the Marlins could play right now. But the Marlins won't do that because in that group of 27 are high-end prospects who they do not want to bring to the major leagues under any scenario. That's why you're seeing the Marlins signing all these new players, getting them to Jupiter, getting their physicals, getting them tested, and getting them ready for when the Marlins can play again. But the Marlins have 17 of their big league 33 who are out for an undetermined amount of time. But with the Phillies, as an example, if it's only a few coaches and then only a few players, you can quarantine the rest of the big league players, fill in from your farm area, which the Phillies have as well, and then the Phillies can continue playing. But if it's a full big league outbreak, then those teams have to pause for what I believe is between 10 and 14 days. But baseball has been silent. We don't know what they're asking the Marlins to do. It's as though they are trying to put fingers in the dam without realizing that leaks are springing other places. I would look for baseball to give some sort of statement with some sort of direction as to what they see happening with the Phillies and the Marlins.
Well, the biggest words that you could say, wait and see. David Sampson, thank you so much for joining us here for this breaking news. You can hear much more from David, a long-time president of the Marlins. He has the inside knowledge of exactly what is going on behind the scenes on his podcast, his YouTube show, Nothing Personal with David Sampson. Coming up, we're going to talk more about this breaking news. The Philly Blue Jays weekend series postponed. We're going to talk to Will Middlebrooks in 60 seconds.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.